Everyone would rise and we'll join the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to your flag. Good evening and welcome. Just a few items to mention. I'd ask everyone to please silence their cell phones. Our meetings are public and recorded. This is a business meeting. We ask everyone to conduct themselves in a professional manner. Our city code allows public comment up to 3 minutes. And for best sound quality, we ask you to please lean into the microphones when you speak. With that, I see we have a few guests here tonight, and rather than hold you through 7 meetings, we're going to bump up and do the public works or start with public works tonight and get that some of the guests dealt with a little earlier than later. Yeah, we'll start with Alderman Beaver.
I call the public works at 6 o'clock. It was for myself, Joe John, Hunter, Schwarzkopf, Ryan, and all present. Under old business, power plant report.
It's been business as usual. Normal generating runs as per our schedule. As per one of my weekly emails, just to kind of get it in the record. We were called by IMEA December 23rd to generate due to pricing. So I think that evening we ran for about 2 hours from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Building streets.
Only thing would be under the water aerator grant. The submittals have been reviewed and approved and sent in back to air and for the aerator. And so once we get that, one other thing that we are working on is there was a valve I mentioned in my email. The valve that was originally in the plans. We in talking with Tim Montgomery and Tim Albers, try to come up with a different valve that can help control the flow to dial it in and keep it more consistent. So we're working with Air and trying to get that as a change into the contract.
Okay. Anything else under that?
Nothing under those.
Okay, now, third item is a concrete program request for Lee Speed and Russell.
Yeah, in the last meeting we discussed, Kelly, who's here tonight, had provided the information for the sidewalk portion. And then as per the discussion, we were also talking about the curb and gutter portion. I emailed and followed up with Kelly, asked her to provide some more information. Got some numbers I'm trying to figure out. So she had provided some other stuff to me last night. I did some other checks this evening, and so that we're kind of looking at some of the details. So like she provided updated numbers, which included the curb and gutter, the islands, and then the apron section between the sidewalk and the curb. So we did review that. I don't know. I mean, typically, I don't know how we want to do that. I mean, we have those numbers, and she's not open talking with the contractor back and forth. I just talked a little bit before the meeting to try and make sure we have all the details ironed out. So really, at this point, until I think we can get everything ironed out, squared away, but I think we're on the right track of getting everything figured out. I'll keep working with Kelly on getting the information. That way, we can bring everything back as one package to get approved through the concrete program.
Okay. Other questions? Next item is Lewis Leonard's water damage property.
Yes, I was contacted last week by Ms. Mesrich and asked if she could be put back on an agenda for the discussion and she had provided what you have in front of you, and I just handed out to you with the write-up, and she had provided canceled checks, but for not putting in the public record, I didn't want to put her checks with her account numbers and everything else into the packet. So she provided that as well. So that's why I just want to provide, I know I gave a background, this obviously happened 21 during the construction project. And, you know, as you can see, it took a while, I guess, to get some of the invoices and stuff, payments taken care of. So she just asked to be put on the agenda. I guess if you guys wanted to speak or.
Really don't know what you want me to say. You all know what happened. The insurance people were so kind to come right away, when they gave me that wonderful amount that you saw it for 3,000. The man came up, looked, he said there's not much damage, but 2,000. And if you can see, what my bill ended up was almost twice that. He really did not look. Well, it was so quick after, when the water came down into the house and got into the plaster and the mold grew vigorously. That's what I do. I have some problems in the beaver, pointed that out to me, so we need to get this moving now. The only thing I will tell you is that it took me a terribly long time to get a hold of my construction man. If you people ever have this, just don't get excited about having the work done right away. It's not gonna happen. I've done 2 years. Couldn't get a hold of him, then till you get me on his docket, couldn't even get there, then until you get the supply, because COVID, it was a mess, it was a long drawn out affair. He originally gave me an estimate to replace all the front of my house, because that was all dinged. I have the rocks and the chunks of blacktop to prove it, what hit my house. He eventually talked me out of having that done. He said, because I don't see where there's going to be any leaks on your siding, and if I replace that, it's not going to match the rest of your house. He said that's been on it too long. I agree, not stupid. I understood what he was saying. So he wiped out a big amount of that original estimate that he gave me personally. So I did not go for the whole load from the people, from the city, from whoever. I tried to be very conservative. When it came to painting, my daughter and I did some of the painting. I didn't have a painter come in, but the man insisted on restaining the ceiling. I cannot do that, neither can she. Then I had to have Daryl Solid come in and do that for me. But I felt like I was being very conservative. I wasn't trying to gig anybody. But I just thought it would be nice if you would reimburse me or to get my house back to the way it was. The way it was, nothing more, nothing less. But it was something that just lived in my mind. Now, I can't think of what it was, but if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer. It's just been a long road to get this finally done. I've been a citizen of this town for since 1958. Been a good citizen of the city of Redwood, kept my properties up. I just, I know what I was gonna say, if indeed you want to go after ET Silence, go for it. I think you would have way more clout than a goofy old gray haired lady saying to them, you need to pay me something for the damage you do, because they're not gonna believe me. Janelle Cassie pursued them. Took her 7 months. She said weekly, and I know a couple times she did 2 or 3 times a week, trying to get those people to listen to her. Well, he's not in the office. We'll look at, it was that kind of thing. So it took her 7 months to give her $101. Yeah, $100 back. So, and I do not, I'm a dinosaur. I'm gonna die a dinosaur. I do not. The connections with all that, I know all of you do. You want to pursue this with the sign company, go for it. Go for that. But I sure thought it would be nice if you could reimburse me just to get my house back to the way it was. I'm very happy that it's in one piece again, and no mold. I'm not growing mushrooms in that room, which I was. Any questions?
So you basically, you're saying your insurance came in and wanted to pay you, or they did pay you, but Did you ever call them back to bring them back in?
No, they always, they gave me that check, and I still have the check in
Sure.
my book.
Sure.
I said, no, I knew that wasn't gonna be in it.
No, I understand. Sure. No, what I understand, it's just, I know with the insurance, they don't always find everything, and when they dig into things, there's subrogation and things like that, and it goes on, that the insurance should pay that. You know, because when you're preventing bills, I think you usually have up to 2 years to make claims to the insurance company. But I understand that's typical process of that, but I'm just,
Yeah.
Sure.
He said, I don't have to see your furnace. Well, the furnace is in the middle of that upstairs.
sure,
Well, the damage was on that front wall, going down into my house. You couldn't have seen that. Couldn't have seen that.
no, I understand.
Yes, I mean, any question?
I know we've, you know, I believe this was all part of the insurance and that our insurance denies it. You know, and I understand, I don't understand all those rules and laws that they do, but, I don't know what to say to the fault here. It creates an issue with us, I know with that, state Paul. Of us to pay claims or do things or.
Tort immunity, we have a tort immunity.
Yeah.
It's been the same as when she came out. Okay.
Like I said, this was damage done to my house by your property.
I guess what we're gonna do is take it under advice and we'll on that thing, for discussion, there's nothing we can, I'm not gonna say we can vote on anything tonight or do anything, but. We're just gonna take this back for discussion and get to see what direction we can go for it. Okay, all right. Thank you. Under new business, I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes. All in favor? Next item is the sewer adjustment for 217 Catherine Drive.
Yes, there was this got a water leak that was, outside in the driveway area. Did not enter the sewer, so to seek approval to, for the sewer request. In the amount of, 167.57 for 217 Catherine Drive.
I'm trying to keep this up to the right one here. So which one was that again?
This is the email copy.
Oh, okay, I'm looking. That part, of it. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to make an adjustment. Or what was that one again?
$167.57.
Tomorrow, okay. So I make a motion that we give this credit back for the sewer. All in favor? Thank you. Sorry. Bouncing around here. Next one was 515 Locust Street.
At 519, I think that was from their the church come from the rectory, it's for the Catholic school, the shed back there where they do the chicken and everything, had a water leak in there. And so they requested that again, got out the sewer. They were just requesting sewer credit for that, and that amount is $956.67.
And how much water?
Yeah. There was about 2 or 3 inches of water in that shed.
Hey. Well, I was looking at this number, that's what. So $956.67 credit for sewer for the Catholic Church. Or school, whatever it is, so. Okay, so I guess I'll make a motion that we approve this credit.
Okay.
All there. Actually, motion passes. Authorization to write ordinance for new sidewalk crosswalk at the River Elementary School.
This is kind of discussions that we had, and John, I know John had was working with Mr. Tallman at one point, and I kind of So, and I know I talked to Bill about it too, there was discussions a while back on that. I know Paul brought up that if there's this crosswalk brought up mid-block, and have to be an ordinance put in. The school district come to, I was working with John Tallman, we got a contractor to come in, put the ramps in. They are in, signage is up, all we have to do is put one sign and move a sign, put a post in and move a sign. And then we just need authorization for Paul to draft the ordinance for that new crosswalk. And that was kind of what the discussion was back, while we had previously discussed that. And then obviously whenever we do our painting and things, we will make sure that, the crosswalks painted and the curves painted yellow. I do know that Mr. Ryan McClellan, principal, had put out in his email, with the new crosswalk, no parking in these areas, so he has that marked on his drawing for students who are being picked up or dropped off as well. So as soon as we get all that painted, that will help as well.
There are flashing light in this one also.
No, but there is signs that designate crosswalk.
And so I'd like to make a motion, we authorize Paul to write an ordinance for the new crosswalk at River Elementary School. All in favor? Better business for Public Works. I adjourn at 6:14.
Okay, thank you. Do you guys want to look back and start at the beginning then, or does it matter, or? You can order, but what should you can? We'll just come down the second page and we will shift next to zoning then, so I'll turn it over to Alderman T.
I'll call the zoning committee meeting to order at 6:14. So eager to talk about the model and first thing on the business is comprehensive planning. I believe Jeff and State we're gonna move that to February. Right? Yes, sir. Okay. Come back to that. East Industrial Park expansion project update.
Our traffic report has finally been approved. It does show the need for a left turn lane in the phase 3 of the development. Poetker disagrees with them. They think that the growth rate that IDOT is requiring us to use is too high. So when that time comes, we can relook at that. There is 20 foot of our property that we need to have as right of way reserved for public use, just in case that turn lane does come into fruition. We'll designate that on the final plat. If the turn lane does not come into fruition, it comes back to us. So the next step is the intersection design study. Based upon IDOT's review times, once Poetker gets it in, which they're hoping to get it in February, we're looking at 6-month review time. So we're hopeful that we'll have this thing done September-ish, just looking at the calendar. Then we can decide what and if we want to do anything construction.
And they'll have the turn lane broke out as a separate expense if we would do it now, and then if the projected cost we could do it after, right? Or can they get that to us? Because I think that we would like to know.
Well, the IDOT told us that the turn lane in today's money to happen in town.
That's doing it with the construction currently. What's it doing after? Like, I'm sure that it's not as cost effective to do it at a later date.
Your guess, but I'm sure they could prorate that might be. The question is, when does the third phase actually happen?
We're gonna have to go do it like once we're doing this like right now in 3 separate phases. So the first phase
It might
is much
take,
smaller. Yeah.
yes. I mean, it might be 20 years before we hit the third phase. That's what Volker's kind of projecting. Try to hit numbers in 20 years out, and we're fooling ourselves.
Yeah.
It might be $1 million by then.
All right, anything else? Moving on to the Dollar General.
Well, your guess is as good as mine. We sure thought they were gonna have this turned over to us in 2022. I have spoken with Mr. Hubbard. I don't know if he dropped the ball or whatever, but he simply didn't get it done. He's working on it and he'll get it to us as soon.
All right, next thing is the liquor license restrictions. We briefly discussed before. I know Jeff had given us some information. Well, if anybody wants to expound on that right now, we ain't gonna take any issue for us at this point. We'll table it for the time being. Moving on to new business, approval of prior month's meeting minutes. I'll make a motion to approve those. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Passed. Public comments, you go to the city. Hearing none, I will adjourn the zoning committee meeting at 6:18.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna shift to recreational facilities next.
Thank you, Mayor. Myself, Howard Button, Boy Field, Monroe President, call to order at 6:18. Under old business, the Rice Park renovation project update. They just had a picture of, I guess they started surveying and doing their stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. They did their survey with the drone. Times are changing.
So other than that, they'll just give us updates as they go. Chief.
Yeah, I submitted the quarterly reports Friday. Our next report's not due till April. Yeah, now they're gonna go into the 9 days of it. Just a heads up, they are going to compare, once again, the recirculating system versus a pump and dump system. They just want to put a pencil to it and see, they're scared of the numbers that Waterloo is seeing and everybody else is seeing. And they just want to explore that option. No additional charges. It's in the contract. So, thank you.
Under swimming pool, swim team uses the facility, no new information provided. Under new business, I'll make a motion to approve prior month's meeting minutes from December 19th, 2022. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Parks and Rec meeting minutes are included in the packet. Under the community garden, last year we filled them up again. Parks Committee would like to add another 5 boxes. I don't know what the cost of that would be, but we've been trying to add on every year, and so I would like to make the motion.
$1,500 that we used last year.
I would say not to exceed, I'll make a motion to purchase 5 new boxes we built, not to exceed $2,000. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. The next one, the last Parks meeting, excuse me, in case anybody has questions, what we did as with our Parks Committee members, we started getting, now we have a representative from Muskets on the board, we have a representative from the RBA on board, and it's worked out really well since that's happening, since we know everything's kind of going on. Well, one of the things that they brought up that they would like to do is pour additional concrete behind the bleachers and be able to move the bleachers back. They had an instance a few months ago where somebody, had to get an ambulance out there and there was next to no room to be able to get through there. They've been wanting to do this for a while. I told them I'm not going to bring it up to you guys. They will cover all the construction, buy the rock, everything. They just want the city to purchase the concrete and they will take care of the rest. With what they want to do, they're guessing it to come out here with $9,200. They tried to get a bid, but they couldn't get a hold of. They couldn't give me the numbers in time. So I would like to do a not to exceed 10,000, and maybe I can get some information for the city council meeting. But like I said, it just kind of brought it up. The Parks Committee was good with it. I would be okay with it. That's up to you guys. I don't know exactly. I know they're wanting to pour concrete, which I guess they've been wanting to do that for a long time, and they're going to pour quite a bit, but I don't have a drawing of it yet. So I wanted to get on a committee and then bring something back to you guys at council if we want to do it. So that's kind of where it's at. It's kind of a grassy, lodgy, dead area back there now. So they want to make more room up front.
I honestly don't have a problem doing it, but once again, we're just coming here and asking for 10 grand with no planning, no.
Yeah, and I get that. They brought it up.
We've
Well,
had an awful lot of I thought we decided we could do that.
There's a program now for community.
Oh,
Community
that's
projects that outside entities want to do that, you can have them fill out.
Yeah, we talked about that. They just brought it up. I said I'd feel it out. I'm okay with either way, you know, if we want to put it off, they can fill out the form and go through, but the Parks Committee was good with it, and they're willing to donate all the labor and take care of all that. I was curious to see where you guys were at, if we wanted to move forward or not.
I just, like I said, my only issue is, you know, we kind of decided we would plan these things and not.
No, I get it.
You know,
I get it, and that's the other thing, like in the meeting, I told them also, because I know that building's gonna be 20 years old and they need new windows and we're budgeting for all that. And I told, you know, the RVA that also, you know, the stuff that's on the outside is our responsibilities, and they're trying to get pricing and stuff for budgeting for next year. But we do have some monies in there, because we didn't really spend that much on the parks this year, as far as purchasing stuff, you know, like that, but it did kind of come out of nowhere. The Parks Committee was good with it, I was good with it, but I want to see where you guys are at.
You would bring back the form, a layout, and an estimate. That would be a good starting point.
Yeah, because I just did some quick calculations, I actually helped pour those originally, and all that concrete. Roughly, that bleacher is about 100 foot long, so if you extended it back even 15 feet. That would be, you know, 1,500 square foot on each side. Right now, concrete's running about $130 a yard. If you take it even at 150, if you calculate extra, that's $3,000 per side, so you're going to get around $6,000 materials.
Yeah, whatever they had planned, they figured it would be around $1,900 in concrete for what that was, but I don't have that drawing for you guys.
Can the ambulance get past the concession stand? Can the ambulance get past the concession stand and the
They stopped before, I couldn't speak to them.
in the fence?
Yeah, they backed all the way to the concession stand when it happened. They didn't have to go any further.
Probably the issue, I guess, is if there was a game going on, you got cheerleaders out front, you got crowd there and getting down through there. I'm guessing that's probably about 15 feet between the bleachers and the fence right now.
And Kyle, just to clarify, they're talking about just the east side, right?
Yeah, just behind that set.
So Rodney, what you calculated was the whole length, right? No, it's just, okay,
At 3,000. That's figuring 15 by 100, 1,500 square feet divided by 80, that's about 19 yards of concrete.
So, yeah, anyway, that's kind of where it's at right now. I'll get an actual estimate and we'll get the forms filled out and I'll bring that back. See if we can move forward with that at some point. Any other discussion? Moving on to the next one, additional lighting for the multi-purpose field. Once again, the muskets can get more lights because there's dark spots out there. If they would get them donated, they just want to know if we'd be willing to accept a hand. So I would make that a motion, should
That's
that,
what we did the first time.
Mhm.
We just installed them. We got any idea how much?
Well, we already have everything there now.
You already have all the stuff there now, we don't have to set new poles, you're going on existing. Adding a few new fixtures, it's gonna be, that's no different.
How many
Security line.
they don't know how many, they don't know what they can get yet. They just want to know if they get them, would we be willing to accept them? So after I asked Pam, which we've already approved it once, she thought it'd be good just to say, yeah, if you would get more, that we'd be okay with.
I don't have a problem with it, but I'd like to have an idea of what we're gonna invest with city labor.
Yeah, once we know the lights, I can we can get something together, once we know the numbers.
You know, if we could get a. You know, some kind of a number before we approve. Putting them up, I guess.
Yeah, so Kyle, if you just, whatever you can find out, how many they can get, then we can put something together, so.
I mean, I like I said, I don't have a problem doing it, I just like to have an idea of what. You know, we took a 2 days, 3 days, 10 days.
Sure. And they don't have them yet. I just want to make sure that everybody's in the know of what we got going on and we do it right. Any other discussion about that? Okay. Next, would be public comments, anything for good order? Hearing none, we'll adjourn at 6:27.
great, thank you. We'll move back around, go to page 1. And that puts us back to the finance committee.
Okay, thank you. Finance committee meeting to go at 6:7. Myself, Alderman Conover, Ryan Curtis, Schwartz, Dalton Keel, all present. We have nothing listed under old business. Under new business, I would make a motion to approve prior month's meetings dated December 19th, 2022. Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Maturing CDs, you do have a page in your packet that shows the CDs and the investments. Moving on down the financial dashboard again, everyone has a copy of it. Under the, we should be at around 67% of our fiscal year budget at this point. As far as revenues, we are plus 15% on revenues. And as far as expenditures, we are down 35%. Again, both numbers are tracking in the right direction.
That's one thing I noticed on it, and it obvious why I missed it. The last past due utility customer that is listed on there was put back in at like 3:15 on Monday or Friday, so it didn't. It was put in after the packet was printed, so there is no outstanding.
Thank you. Okay, next item up on the agenda is administration vehicle authorization to budgets. I guess, you know, is this something new or has this been on the agenda before?
This, we talked about it briefly, and I don't remember if it was in a meeting or when it was, but we talked about employees who do conduct city business that do not have a city vehicle to drive. Basically, they're using their personal vehicles. And if a person is using their personal vehicle for city business and say they were hit by an uninsured motorist, that person has to assume the liability themselves for their vehicle. If they cause the accident, their vehicle, the other vehicle, any people in their vehicle, any people in the other vehicle, and then be without a car, the length of time that it takes to get it fixed. I personally cannot, I would prefer not to be without a vehicle if that's possible. And I talked to the mayor and she's probably, I don't know how often you're traveling for.
A few times a month.
So several times a month she's going. We talked to Jock, we brought up a department head meeting and thought that if there was an admin vehicle, it would allow us to keep the fleet vehicles for the utility department into play, and somebody going to training or a meeting could actually use the admin vehicle. And that way we wouldn't be short vehicles in the utility department. It's not a decision making matter tonight, just something that we wanted to introduce. The mayor came to me and asked what I thought we should do with it. And I said, introduce the idea, and it's really nothing that needs conversation until the budget.
Okay, so I guess I would have a few questions. So does all the department heads have their own vehicles, is that correct?
I don't.
I mean,
I don't have a city vehicle.
Right.
Every other department has a department vehicle or a city vehicle.
so this would be used for business meetings, things like that, anything pertaining to the
Between
city.
city council members, any city employee. Really. So the mayor, anyone in the city would be eligible to use it. And several years ago, we used to use the extra vehicle that the police department had, but they don't have an extra vehicle. At least that's drivable outside of the city limits.
But when you have utility workers go to a conference, Springfield or something, they don't take a city truck or something.
They do, well, like I said, if it's just a couple of them, I sometimes have just given them my truck, so like utility, like gas department truck or one of the other trucks can stay here and I drive something else, so. But that's what they would do, usually use is, you know, take one of them, take a vehicle.
I guess another question I would have, where would we store it? Or would it be stored somewhere?
I mean, they're probably the city parking lot here. That's where the administrative vehicle for the police department was. And I mean, it could go anywhere. It could go to the utility department if we thought they were going to use it more. Or...
We could maintain a calendar too, but if I know I need it on the second Tuesday from 10 to noon, that people know that's the availability.
Yeah, you definitely have to have some kind of process that you would sign up to use it.
I'm curious, insurance, would we be able to cover it? Because if you're gonna have multiple people driving it, typically your insurance, you're gonna have to provide them with a license of some kind. Would we have to provide them with a list and people's driver's license that would be driving?
No, any city employee or official would be eligible because it's fleet coverage. So all of our vehicles are on a fleet, they're on a fleet policy. And we did talk about adding our own personal vehicles to the insurance policy, but then that requires extra documentation to the insurance company, and anytime anybody traded a vehicle or got something different, you'd have to change the vehicles with the insurance company. And
So with what we have now with our fleet vehicles, and you brought up the license and all that. Do we require all of our employees to have a valid license, and do we check up on any of that as they use our stuff? Like, for instance, at work, I have to show a license to get keys out.
you'd have to
To
talk
take
to
a
Josh, Jeff, and
You know, is that in our employee policy or handbook that says you have to have a valid driver's license to do this?
do you guys verify? I don't use any city vehicles, so I don't do that, but Dave, I mean, I don't know, that's.
Conversation, I'd be curious to know, I mean, we got somebody out driving around, we shouldn't be driving around.
Well, everybody does have a valid driver's license. We've had a few, we did have an instance one time where somebody had a work permit. So, that's been verified and put through proper channels with insurance and everything else.
I was just wondering, I didn't know if we needed something like that in policy or. What.
So when you're saying authorization budget, when would you want this by?
We would just budget through this coming budget cycle for the next fiscal year. Right, is that what you had in mind?
Which is due in,
May 1 starts.
Yeah, the budget we approved in May, so it'll be after May and depending on funding, I guess. And not some, GTO 1968, muscle, something.
do use,
The use, I would think, or. I don't think we're gonna spend Eagles money on it. I'm sure Kelly could hook us up, but
so we're gonna table that for right now.
And wait, I mean, put it to the budget process, I guess, if that's.
unless there's opposition, we'll include it in the budget. If it's something you don't want to do, well, we won't put it, but we want to go through the steps to do that.
You said you use it how many? You would probably use it a couple times a month?
I made a list. I routinely go to 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5 to 6 meetings a month. And then there's other things that just pop up here and there.
And then what about more of the like further away trainings, like meetings and things like that?
Honestly, we're still kind of coming out of this COVID stuff. A lot of things either don't happen yet. I think Josh and even police, you're just first starting to see some of those even come back into play again. And I think we've all learned that Zoom is a tool that often a meeting is now offered via Zoom, which is helpful. But yeah, when there's longer distance things, this would be an option. Because in fact, like you've got, what's the one you're coming up is going further? Are you going to Effingham? I mean, some of those further trainings are starting to surface.
I guess another thing that we could probably look at would be an interesting number is what do we currently spend on mileage for? It's, I got no clue. You got any idea? 3,000, 4,000?
I don't know.
I can estimate mine.
It would just be an interesting
Oftentimes I don't
number
look
to know.
And
Because if you're looking at buying a $10,000 car, you would eliminate mileage by doing this. Pay for itself in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, be an interesting number.
Because I think like even in the next week or two, you've got at least 2 things I can think that are somewhere. Chester and beyond, so.
Yeah, it might be something you will look at when you go into the budget, it's like, put some numbers with it, say that. Can offset this.
We want to, at this point, table it and put some more thought and numbers behind it.
Hey, Paul, would we need a motion to put it in a budget cycle or?
No, you don't need to. Sure.
All right, next item on the agenda, schedule revisiting of gaming fees.
that was something that when we discussed it the last time, was put in the tickler file in the January of 2023.
Which was it? Do we remember what the additional fee would be, the gaming fee?
We can go up to
It's
two.
up to $250 per machine.
We're not currently charging anything.
Charging it. Also giving them $100,000 a year. Taxes. Or the fees. Doesn't make sense.
How many machines do we have?
53.
I don't get around here. I think we should charge $250 a machine. They're still gonna plan, the people are still gonna have them. There's not gonna be a machine that goes away. Because we'll charge me $250 a machine.
But it ain't straight out of the.
What's that?
The business. owners.
Public committee that you were working with, like Johnny and them,
Their profits.
that was one of the things that
Comes straight from them.
just kind of fell apart, to be honest with you. But if you want to start looking at $250 fee, expect this whole thing to fall.
Okay. I have no problem with that.
I think the business owners will not look favorably on it.
I don't see any point.
Because it been $250 a year.
No,
And $250 a year per machine, when they make multiple tens of thousands of dollars.
Not they get $100,000 a year ourselves.
Not all of them do. So you got some guys, you got some, you gotta look at the numbers, you know, some of them probably don't even make it up. Pay for that. So,
Well, then I guess the machines go away and the ones that have problems that shouldn't be gambling aren't gambling machines anymore. I'm on the exact opposite end of this from council.
I make a motion, we do not charge fees for this company. Second. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay.
So that will not go forward to the city council. Just won't go on the agenda. Correct, Paul? Still right. Yeah, right. Just let everybody be aware.
So that was for the year, correct?
Okay, next item on the agenda, FY 24 budget, initial packets to department heads, chairpersons, and I'm assuming you're getting those.
Yeah, that's just informational purposes that the budget packets will go out this week. They're due to be turned back into Liz mid-February. And the first committee meeting that you'll have a draft is probably March.
All right, any public comments or anything for the good of the city? Not, we'll adjourn finance at 6:40.
Okay, we will now shift over to personnel committee.
Alright, well, first off, I'm gonna go for 40, and so feel every time line career. Under old business, I have the WHR wage benefit study, first, and so other things. You guys, I sent out a hand this week. We got the final draft, for our wage study. Just want to say that, I want to say thank you to all the city workers, everybody here. Thank you for spending time, for being cooperative and getting it all done. I know this is an outside firm, they're taking a third party look at our policies, our job titles and benefits and everything. So I do appreciate the department heads, city workers, everybody here that when I'm moving in with this. So also, you had the final draft, there's also a summary sheet I put on your front of your desk here today. Couple things just to remember, these are all just recommendations. This is an outside firm doing this, so we don't have to follow anything that they say. It's their recommendation, pick and choose. We're not bound by them. So just I'm gonna really FYI. I figured this is gonna be a multi-meeting thing. Eventually maybe we'll go to executive session, things like that. But today, we got a summary sheet, kind of look at some highlights with everybody, and then we can go forward from there. So as I said, once again, it's recommendations, and thanks for helping. We'll go ahead and start off. First off, We have the changing of job titles on pages 4 through 7. So if you guys want to look through it, couple of them, it's moving the city superintendent to public works superintendent. The administrative assistant to office administrator. Electric lead man to electric system supervisor or lead worker. Gas lead man to gas system supervisor. Facilities lead man to street supervisor. The finance clerk, the finance coordinator, and support person to utility maintenance worker. You guys want to discuss this first issue here? Do you guys see anything jumps out or that?
What is their reasoning behind one from electric lead man to electric system supervisor, for example, or lead man? Or lead man, what's the reasoning?
Lead worker.
Yeah, well, lead man is not working anymore. I know they put that on there. That was a yes, the supervisor. Lead worker. It's not inclusive, showing them that they're back to the actual supervisor in that. It's the job title they're changing to system supervisor as more a.
In other words, we're no longer a lead man, we're a lead person. That's like
Lead person.
we're not counseling anymore, we're counseling. In other words, we have a pronoun problem there.
And we're supervisor. Yeah. Yes.
I can see electric lead worker, we have to do that, but putting supervisor title behind there, you know.
You don't want supervisor. Okay.
Don't lead workers.
You want lead workers? Okay. So for all that or for all the supervisor, just okay.
So when it comes to the other ones, for instance, finance clerk to finance coordinator, support person, utility maintenance worker. I do think it makes it a little more professional. And I would completely agree with that. You know, even, you know, as far as the other ones, I don't have a problem with changing those titles at all.
The other question I'd have, as soon as these titles are designated.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with at least Pam and Josh's job,
I'm sure those
have
do.
to be changed by ordinance. And then the ordinance is gonna say, wherever it says city superintendent, substitute this, because if you wanna change it in that book of thousands of pages, it's gonna be astronomical. Go through and actually change each one.
We don't have any of our stuff in any kind of digital file where.
Oh, you do, but you'd have thousands of instances where it says city superintendent. So all you're gonna do is go in there and say, where it says city superintendent, we also need this. And you're really not gonna change all the other terms.
You just find it replaced.
For thousands, and then you have to update the whole book and print it.
I'm just.
I think
that's.
I don't think it's not economically feasible, but I don't think you wanna pay to do that. But if you wanna pay to do that, that's fine with me, we'll do it. But you have to think about that.
We'd have to either approve each ordinance that was changed, or I guess the book in its entirety that we just did.
And
It's just,
all the forms that you have that's not in the city code have to be changed with all the references to city superintendent to the new one. I'm just saying, there's a lot of work that goes into changing those titles. If you want to change them, or you can just simply say in the book, you know, this is now this, and over time. Change forms as they come up, something like that. Just to give you a little thought.
I guess my question would be, what would our advantage be to change this? I mean, I get the ones that we gotta, you know, to take. Yeah, I understand that. But I don't see any benefit for us to change it.
your net gain is zero.
That's why they're only recommendations, so.
How many of them would be required by ordinance? I mean, not every one of them, you're saying, just a few of them?
Off the top of my head, I don't think any. Of the ones except for Josh, well, finance clerk is in the ordinance book. I don't think support workers or any of the other guys in the department are mentioned anywhere.
So I kind of think if we're saying that we want to change the lead man part, it wouldn't be a big deal, then.
No, that would be
That would be
much smaller, I think. That would not require an ordinance, change that, you just probably have to update whatever forms, maybe a utility office.
You say finance coordinator, finance clerk.
Finance clerk is in the blank. And city superintendent and the administrative assistant. Again, we can change it with not changing every instance in the book.
Yeah.
Right.
But saying this is a new title, which has been done in the past. If you read the book now, stuff like Jeff's job, I say, it's this or this or this or this or this, because it's changed and grown over the years. And they didn't go and change every instance of people's title. So I'm not saying don't change the titles, but maybe just say, this is what we're gonna start using. Just know that we're not gonna change all thousands of instances. That word, like,
I would say for sure, I would like to change the support person to self-maintenance worker. Okay. Thanks. Sounds a lot better. Anything else in this section, or we'll come back to it later? Okay, next it's the 9 pay grades, the 3 bands, page 5. So this is the way they broke down everything, they broke down the grade vector staff, supervisor, and advanced technical, director, senior manager. So like your directors and senior managers would be our department heads. They have a breakdown of things that they do. There's 9 different sections of how they actually grade it. It's in your packet here, all the details of how it was done and how we're going to move forward. That's close reading. Next up would be the benefits survey. So that's on page 12. This was hold up. Okay, so as we look here, the health insurance premiums for employees and families, we are above average here, but we pay 100% of our premiums. According to the research that we found, for employee only, so we pay 100%. The average percentage paid by other people, other municipalities, 96.1. And so we pay 100%, and in family coverage, the average percent paid by municipalities is 71%. We also pay, so we are above average there. And then we get to dental and vision, we're above average again. We pay 100%. Most municipalities only pay for employee 85% and 61% family. So I say that we are standing out above other municipalities above there. Life insurance, we are down a little bit. We are under the average, 10,000, average 7.
Does the amount of employees for the life insurance, is that there into that? In other words, if your benefit is, you've got, say, 100 employees compared to some of these other cities that maybe got half of them. Can that put into that amount?
Well, those are cities that we've been against, they're about the same size as other places, so we should have comparatively the same amount of employees. What we have.
You get like the one there at Lebanon was much, I'm sure, much larger than us. And they have 25,000. Yeah, and it's 100%. So I don't think the size of the town has much to do with it.
So paid sick time, we are above average on paid sick time. And a lot of other municipalities allow their sick time to roll over, as far as it's cashed out, I believe after 40 hours. Holidays, we're under average 11.5, we're at 10. Vacation time, we are so right at right below, plus we get 3 personal days, we get in and out. A lot of other municipalities let people do some kind of rollover. Let's see, admin time, most of the municipalities that did the survey, they don't do, actually, I don't think any of them did admin time, if I remember correctly, what their first thing. On call, 4 out of 10, provide additional compensation, and then safety retirement service awards, 3 out of 10 provided some kind of awards, which I would. That's a thing that I actually want to see. I would like for us to do more service awards. And this kind of took place, maybe a 5-year increments, and we can figure out some way that we can reward our guys for staying with us and staying with us over the years. Questions there? I will say this is, I mean, it seems like we're average, or we're meeting every category. And some of these other towns, I mean, the union towns, and stuff. I think that Fred was showing that we have very good, package, and we can, this, we have potential employee want to come in. But we're right there with everybody else, and I know other places are expressing more stress that, but we're packages for everybody else. Questions?
Would it be an issue to allow them to roll some time over? Would that be, a real problem for us?
We used to be able to roll time over. And then at one point, they paid everybody out and started a new process. Where, because it used to be that we would roll it over and bank it, and then if an employee left or retired, it got paid out, if I remember correctly.
Right.
They didn't want to do that anymore, so that's when they started they pay out at the end of the year, whatever you did not use it the first 40 hours of your sick leave. Everything from there on rolls over. Anything over the 40 hours rolls over.
Are you talking rollover for vacation or sick? Or vacation?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah.
I'm just saying, time there.
So that's what happens with sick time. And as far as vacation time, as long as I've been here, it's a use it or lose it on an annual basis. Because their philosophy was that everyone needs to take the time away from their jobs to
It's time you should use.
recruit.
Yeah.
It's time you earn for a year of service and they want you to take it.
Have we had any issues where people couldn't get the time off,
Had a couple.
where they've lost it because we couldn't approve them to be off?
We've had a few instances where employees either procrastinate. We had an instance where an employee hadn't used all their time and ended up on workers' comp. We made an exception for that.
Workers' comp's probably your tough one.
We've had a couple, I know in my department, we work it out. We get it worked out either way, they can use it.
I doubt that there's been any time that anybody lost any.
That's, I just, this seems to me like something that,
It's been-
if we could accommodate, a couple of days.
It's not officially.
And for instance, Steve Merce is out on work comp right now. And he used his vacation time up. He used it, so since he. Well, it's like what they said, to use it with a work comp situation.
And as far as the sick time, that's been quite a few years ago, it cost us.
No, I haven't, but I'm saying if we're on the ground floor of this, I'm not opposed to looking at it and putting a cap on different things. I just want to make sure somebody don't lose their time because they can't get approved to take the day off.
But here's the thing with the sick time, we were budgeting that sick time at 2023 levels. All of a sudden, these guys are retiring in 2033. We're paying them out for that sick time at that level, which is probably 20-25% higher than what they actually earned it at. That's the reason we got on.
So the only thing your sick leave can go towards now is your retirement. Build up to 1 year of service.
Is that's IMRF rules, correct?
one question I got, life insurance. If we were to catch up and say we went to 15 or 20,000, and you can any idea how much it is that?
Where does that life insurance come from? It's a separate policy that we have.
Is, I would have to get quotes, but we can do that.
We're right there. See what the difference is, we can catch up with it for Christmas.
You want me to increase it to 15 or 20? Or you want two options?
See what we got.
If most of it, I didn't read that part of the report, but most of the other municipalities offer life insurance also.
Yeah. Most of them offer, they said, I think between 10 and 25,000. Yeah, 10 to 25,000.
So are they offering it for free or is the employee paying for it?
It's at no cost to the employees.
Yeah, they refer to it as employer paid life insurance, so it's a perk.
Any more questions on there?
My point on that would be if we're above average on that. That's an unusual perk. Most employers do not get life insurance for their employees.
Have to pay for mine, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I do, so that's an unusual perk, that if we're already above or at average on virtually everything else. It's fun to look at it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, can employees, they can buy additional insurance, can't they?
You can buy, do several different things. You can buy additional insurance. You have Aflac offered.
So there are other options for families.
I agree with Rodney, but I also think, what's it hurt to take a peek at it?
It could be really minimal. As far as less, what it would cost us to do.
Anything else in that section? Move on. The next is compensation plan options. Financing the plan, annual information plan, and funding plan. What the things we can do, we have the FOP contract with comps. And we have to change the whole structure. The city says on their base.
In my opinion on that, I would love for us to go to an open range merit-based plan. But in the political environment that we're in with our employees and with mayors changing and councils changing and I just don't know that.
I know we talking about that.
I think you almost have to stay with it.
Yeah. Performance evals, we talked about doing, I talked with the mayor of developing performance evals. Right now. Everything.
We've talked about this for years, and the direction was given to do it. Everyone should be doing evals. We voted on it, the mayor said do it, and for whatever reason, they're not being done. I understand John might have different issues because of the FOP and stuff like that, but this should already be taken care of, in my opinion. Well, it is.
Well,
We did, I mean, it should be done.
we've been talking about it since I was in this council.
Keep taking a look at it.
It's. I mean, if nothing else, I think it gives us a good opportunity to sit down with the employee. And say, look, guys, here's what your salary was last year, here's what your benefits were last year. Here's increase you got this year in salary. It gives us to refresh in their mind, otherwise they get to the fact, well, they didn't really do anything more. I think it just gives us a good opportunity to reinforce where we're at. Plus, if they got an issue, gives them an opportunity to talk to us.
We need to form some tools and different things too, and I would almost envision probably a different tool for department heads than I would for other folks. depending on the depth and broad width of a performance evaluation. I keep kind of shaking your head, you, it's not something similar. Maybe we'll try and go down that path, Jeremy, that
Because the other question we have, we start getting performance evals is. Then who's in charge of the department heads, then who's in charge of the department heads, is it the mayor? Is it? Me, the personnel committee, is Kurt have Josh, since he's in public works, do you have John? You know, all questions we gotta figure out, we'll start doing it, so.
definitely. Put on your project list.
Yeah. Nothing more there. Next up, we have presentation. You got to see there's a couple job titles that were slated below. That should be raised to minimum. First off was the detective. Yeah. It was below the utility office clerk is low, utility billing is low. Overall, seems you were in good shape. People are one of the pay scales. So there's only 70 some pages.
So they have a utility office clerk, is that county?
I would say yes.
Right, Josh? That's gonna be. The utility billing clerk.
And I think as you said earlier, these are nothing but suggestions,
Yeah.
and that may be something in budget.
Review and we said what the raises are gonna be just kind of weird. Some of this may be more than taken care of. Because they're using that minor amounts of money you're talking about raising.
The other thing that they failed to do, that I had hoped they would, was to include benefits into the compensation package. Yeah, we gotta remember what it's worth to these guys to have 100% family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, what are we talking about the average employee? Yeah.
Probably 12 to $15,000 a year.
Yeah. They were, you have that over there, and back off what some of these other ones are paying. I think our employees are probably still way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, I think overall, or say, well, kind of our benefit pay package, everything is very solid. Compared to other municipalities. Could be a tool that we can use when, so we have this come in. We can kind of show them what we all offer compared to the other people and show them the package.
So with regards to it, well said, if we contact them and bring up that question, is that something that could be in their realm of maybe they should have done that?
Just gonna talk to them, see.
I think every question, if you would like to have this done, you know, I'm 100%.
Part of my thinking in doing this was that we could compare apples to apples. And I don't think that happens.
So were they,
Not on job levels and not on benefit levels. And
so were they gave like percentages on those benefits, like here on page 12? You would rather see X number of dollars that we paid toward benefits versus what average of other municipalities are paying toward benefits, the actual, so you're asking?
I mean,
It's gonna be hard to do, but
it would be hard to do, absolutely.
we almost have the information probably in front of you. If they gave you averages on where you stand with other municipalities, you could probably, I mean, I don't know, I'd have
Take
to.
each employee's amount and then take that percentage difference to figure it out. But, you know, if you're 20% and you're in 20,000 a year, it's pretty good size chunk.
I think Something's gonna depend too, I mean, we had Einstein, I mean, they've gone back. you know, if the next municipality doesn't have a broker that's that aggressive, you know, maybe they're paying $1,000, we're paying $800.
I think you probably have to assume that most of them are paying a lot more money if they're not using a firm like we are. Because the rates are not what are typical.
That would even throw up even more than that.
Well, I think they're spending more money, it's costing them more than it's costing us. So we see a huge cost savings working with Einstein, where the other municipalities are doing it.
Well, if you want to get real crazy, drill down into, we've got an HRA and their true out of pocket is $250 for an individual and $250 for, you know, and you could just go down that rabbit hole pretty quickly.
You're good. Second one. We have the station. Bring it to everybody, so go through that, but that was race time. Another thing that is recommending was the years of service adjustment. They were trying to recommend a one-time thing of how many years that the city employees worked. They were basing the basis that one-time implementation on based on how many years that they worked. I don't know if that's something you guys would like to look at. Well, hard thing to do.
It's been brought up many times in different ways.
Yeah.
I think they brought it up more if we would shift to this band thinking, right? You know, 3 designations or 9 bands or whatever. It was in that spirit that was presented, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's on the computer, so if they did the total here, it'd be, like I said, 1 to 5 years, 1%, 6 to 10, 2%, 11, 15, 3, 6 to 4, 16, 24%, 21, 25, 5%, 26 plus 6%. They try to recommend just one time they go to the bank system and be like $46,230. I was going out there because they threw it back, so.
I think the other thing we gotta remember when we talk about that is, you know, we have a pay level assigned to each job that we have, especially with utility guys, we're close out to.
That's all we need to do.
But, so, you know, it's not like these guys are coming in and working 4 or 5 years to get to their top pay level.
Yeah.
They go through a probationary period. And they're, you know, so that's something you have to think about when you talk about years of service too.
Yeah, because their whole pretense is starting at the bottom or toward the middle if you've got some crazy crap.
Yeah, probably City Hall would be the only place we have that. You know, because police officers would do, we all come in the same thing.
Yes.
You guys in one dress down at the park come in the same day, right?
Yeah.
You know. It's that's something we have to keep in mind before you want to consider something like that, I think.
Yeah. Any more questions? Concerns? That talk about?
Then I just need to know how you want your final copy in.
I sent you an
Oh,
email
okay.
like 2 seconds after you sent it.
Okay, well, it's electronic. Okay.
Jeremy, I wanted to pause and thank you for spearheading this. I know this was a large project. There was a lot of data processed. This was an outside firm. Like you said, these are recommendations. I took some amount of comfort in the fact, even when they broke this down into 9 different, what do they call them, pay bands, grades, sorry, 3 bands, 9 pay grades. This didn't produce any crazy outliers. It told me what we're doing for the most part is what we should be doing. I think we're paying our folks fairly. Our benefits package is very good. It produced things, if nothing else, it verified what we're doing. Now, do we want, maybe would we like some more drilled down details and things like that? But for the most part, I think we're doing it right. Question is, how do we take these things forward into the future? We've got some crazy inflation we're looking at now here 2 years in a row. Those are the difficult things to move forward. But listen, thank you for your efforts.
That being said, we'll go for changes and what you're talking about is, so. Moving forward, on our new business, I'll make a motion for the progress meetings from December 19th, 2022. Any total comments? Make this city. Hearing none, personnel committee at 7.
Okay, thank you. We'll shift to public health and safety.
Thank you, Susan. I'll call public health and safety at 7:13. Myself, Reinecker, Gebert, Devoy, and Dojan are present. We have no old business. Under new business, I'll make a motion. We approve the December 19, 2022 minutes. All in favor, say aye. Departmental activity report, you've all got a copy of it in front of you. John, one question I got, you got 2 UTVs down for 2023, is that all the renewals?
Oh, I looked at that first. I didn't get that one.
Have we had several renewals?
We've had more renewals.
Okay, are we inspecting them when we renew?
They were in the beginning. Kind of changed the date because they were waiting on us to get there. A lot of times, since we've already inspected them once, I feel like that responsibility should be on the person that owns the vehicle. Keep it where it's supposed to be. We've already inspected it once.
But do we have any way of knowing that they're bringing the same vehicle back for renewal?
Yes, it's like the same insurance, that you have the same insurance for that.
So they fill out a new form each year?
They tell us it's the same vehicle. If there's a new vehicle, we'll re-inspect it.
Yeah, we keep the form, original form.
We keep the original.
So then they go through it and kind of initial it, I think, don't they?
Yes,
So they examine that farm every year, they don't come in and just give us a check and say, I want a sticker.
right. They go through it, they got to present insurance every year, make sure it's insured, the whole thing.
I don't remember the ordinance, are we covered by ordinance by doing it that way, Paul, or?
I don't know offhand, you have to have a look at.
You might want to take a look at.
I read it, and it said it needed to be inspected, it didn't say it's inspected annually.
I don't know if these guys think
If you're bogus, then write a ticket for. Right, I mean, I refer to like a car, when the car comes off the center line, ready to go, the state don't inspect it every year. It's not the state's fault if it's something.
No, I get that, and I don't disagree with that. I don't know what everybody else thought.
So basically, if it's wrong, the cop catches it because your headlights are out, you get a ticket. Have we issued any tickets or any issues at all from any side by sides? Yeah, any issues, we don't try to be pretty. Friendly about it. But we haven't really, we've had maybe a couple of times, so we've had to tell people, you need to get up here and get a sticker, or you need to put your slow moving sign back on.
Anybody got another questions for John? He does also have a multi-year activity. In here, if you want to go back and look at how things have changed since 2017.
Just listen.
Repairs to squad car number 7. Back into it.
Nobody did. Mike apparently was responding to a medical call and you know how the big dip there is off North Main, it goes on to, Randolph Street. He bottomed out. There's a pretty significant dip there. He broke the.
I'm assuming this is something we don't want to turn into insurance.
It's.
Is this what we're talking about?
Yes.
730.
Like 7. It's not working.
Probably not worth. So we just need authorization to
It's you don't mind.
I'll make a motion that we fix their squad car number
7.
number 7 in the amount of $738.01 at Midwest Auto Creation.
Still, you might want to note that there's tax on it. There's tax on that.
It sure is $10.92.
So just deduct, they will.
Yeah. Deduct the tax.
For a second.
All in favor, say aye. Motion carried. Training request. I have a training request for John Brittingham and Tyler Plum. Illinois Law Enforcement Alarm Systems Conference, hotel, so it's in Champaign, Illinois. March 27th to 29th, 3 days. Yes, it is an annual training. Fee is $300 for both, you meaning $300 total for both of us. Lodging, meal expense. I'll make a motion, we approve this request.
Second.
That motion is second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. The next is, John, I'll just let you handle this since he sent you a text and you know what's.
Okay, last time Dusty worked, it was 2 months ago, he sent me a text and said it'd be the last 2 shifts he worked, he's gonna go ahead and resign. Said it was no issue, he was part wasn't in it. So, and now there's some other stuff, but I'm not gonna go speaking on it, so. But that's nothing wrong with our department, he just felt like he was through with all.
So I'll make a motion, we approve the resignation of Dusty Hosler. Part-time officer.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye. Motion carried. Public comments, anything for the good of the city?
John, I didn't even ask you at department head meeting, with Dusty's resignation, do you need to backfill? I know he was a part-timer, I know you've got a number of part-timers, what situation does that leave you in?
Absent one, but
Okay.
I don't know, we need to fill it immediately.
You don't have the urgent need to refill for a part-time, okay.
Adjourn, public health and safety at 7:19.
Okay, thank you, we will now shift to cultural committee.
I call the cultural committee to order at 7:19. Myself, Damon and Reinecker, Geber and George are present. There is no old business, new business. I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes of December 19th, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. And the Toys for Tots has a request on November 4th, 2023. Collected the square from 8 to noon. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the request. All those in favor? Motion carries. Any public comments or anything we go to the city? I call the cultural committee at 7:20.
Okay, unless I'm mistaken, I believe that wraps up our evening. Thank you for doing those out of order with my guests. Have a good rest of your week.